Well, hello, this is Tam with another deep download. And this time it is about eating from the tree of the knowledge of good and evil. And we know it's scriptural. We get images of Adam and Eve in the garden and an apple and a serpent offering a taste, right, with a promise of being like God. But then the man and the woman understanding that if they do eat from this tree that they will surely die. Well, this is going to be a refreshing look at this, a deeper and metaphysical understanding of this idea. There's deep truth that's hidden within the scriptures. And I believe that this will shed a whole new light, something that can benefit each and every one of us in our lives, helping us to keep the code and to live in alignment with these divine principles and laws that have been set in motion for us. Enjoy, and I'd love to hear your thoughts and your experiences about eating from the tree of the knowledge of good and evil. Welcome back, luminaries. Well, today I'm inspired to do a reading from something that has been super beneficial to me for many, many years now. It's in the public domain, and I'm seeking no compensation from it. The only way I can attribute it is that it comes from the NevilleGoddardBooks.com page. And it looks like the author is Neville, but at the bottom it's also attributed to an F.W. Sears. So I'm not sure exactly who wrote it, where it came from, but I do know that it benefits me. And I'm hoping that it will resonate with someone out there. I do know that it will. That's why I'm guided to read it today. Now, let us see what is this tree of the knowledge of good and evil. All religions have been founded upon the basic principle that in the beginning, God created heaven and earth and everything that in them is. That He had nothing whatever out of which to make them but Himself. That there was nothing anywhere that was but what was made of God, but what was God. Absolutely nothing. This being true, and it is what the Bible teaches, and it is what I believe, this being true, then there is absolutely nothing in heaven or on earth but what is God or good. What is this knowledge? What is the tree of the knowledge of good and evil? Why, it is the separation of ourselves from the truth of our oneness with God. It is a recognition of something else besides God here on His earth plane and in the heavens above. It is a consciousness which believes in and separates itself from this great, wonderful, constructive, and harmonious power of the universe, which we call by various names, but which is commonly called God. And when we come into a consciousness of our separation from God, when we create the belief and become so intellectual that we find something else in the universe besides God, we surely do die. For all that is greatness, all that is highest, all that is most holy, begins to wither, and as a result of that separation in our consciousness, we do die. And so when we eat of this tree of the knowledge of good and evil, when we begin to see the evil in people and things instead of the good or God in them, Then we begin to develop a consciousness that the world and most of the people in it are bad or evil. We then begin to relate with people and things whose expressions are destructive in our lives, and we attract the bad things to us. In this consciousness, we do surely die. We are dead to all the higher, more constructive, and more harmonious conditions. A death many times worse than could be the death of the physical body. How did man begin to eat of that tree? Through his intellect, through his reason, through his logic. The brain was given to man for the purpose of using it as a companion, as a handmaiden, to his inspiration, illumination, and revelation. But he has taken it together with his reason and logic and used them to bury his illumination, inspiration, and revelation. He has said to himself again and again, "It cannot be true. It's impossible for it to be true," when he has had some wonderful inspiration, illumination, or revelation. Instead of using his reason and logic to work out the illumination, inspiration, or revelation in form on the objective world, where it could be used by all the rest of mankind for the benefit of himself and others, he has set his brain, the physical organ through which the God consciousness sends its expression to every part of the body. He set it to kill out his inspiration, to kill out his glorious and wonderful illumination. And the result could only be the non-expression or death of all of his higher ideals as long as this mental condition exists. And so this reading today, this information that we're taking, this perspective on eating from the tree of good and evil, speaks volumes about our beliefs and how powerful they are. That when we decide that we are going to also search for and seek out what is evil, pay attention to what's wrong in the world, in ourselves and our societies through our judgments, that is when we begin to push out the light of God, because we've decided to give our attention and our energy to what we deem wrong or bad in the world. And of course, whatever it is you give your attention to is what's going to expand in your world. The whole idea that I'm being so intellectual, I'm being so wise and so smart by being on the lookout for, being so aware of that which could be hurtful and harmful, that guess what? You get whatever you're seeking. You get whatever you are in expectation of. And you get more of that which you are feeding your consciousness with. Everything that God has made is indeed good. And since we can agree that everything God made is good, and that God made everything out of itself, then there is no other power. There is no equal but opposite adversary. But when we create one, when we create bad and evil through our judgments, we create our own adversary, through our own consciousness. We get to choose how to use that powerful tool. This brings to mind a story of a beautiful trip to Hawaii that I had manifested. And I won't go through the details of how it all came about, but I was on this trip with a friend. And the weather was perfect. Everything was beautiful. The accommodations, it was just amazing. And throughout the whole trip, in all of that beauty, she could only find the things that she did not like about it. She drowned out all of the beauty because she was paying attention to what she wished could be different, instead of just noting, accepting, giving thanks for, and appreciating all of the good. She expanded the bad so much to where it got on my nerves. And I said to her, do you realize that the moment that we got on the plane, you began to only see the negatives in every moment during this trip? And I asked her, I said, how's that working for you? And she looked at me because she didn't realize that she had been doing that. And she paused for a little bit. She thought about it and she realized, yes, I have been doing that. She apologized again and she said, from this moment, I'm going to choose to just seek the good. I'm not going to try to decide how people should be managing the luau's and how the furniture should be arranged and where the ducks should be right now and how the waves should be coming in and out. She said, I'm going to leave that up to God. And I'm just going to enjoy the creativity of nature. And she did. And we both laughed and we had a great time after that. And so that story just speaks to how easy it is to eat from that tree of the knowledge of good and evil. Because certainly we're all smart people. We've experienced life. We have preferences of how we'd like things to be. And there's nothing whatsoever wrong with that. But you got to know that when it becomes your habitual way of living, it'll wear you out. And it will wear the people who are around you out as well. You die to the beauty in life. And you truly begin to experience an agonizing existence of what's wrong. In my private practice of Beyond Hypnosis, this is usually at the root of all of the issues that people come to me for resolution of. People want help in finding their joy and regaining the sweetness of life, improving relationships, their financial supply, and even just discovering their life purpose, their health, everything. Problems begin with our beliefs and consciousness. And it's usually our belief in lack and separation, in the idea that there's always something wrong, there's something that we've got to look out for, be careful of. But that is really, in essence, not living. That is dying. Live fully in each and every moment. Our job is to utilize that brain to the consciousness of good and abundance and connectivity to our divine source. Because that source, God, is always in control. And everything that He has made is good. We magnify that good with gratitude for everything. And we diminish the evil, the so-called bad in the world by turning our attention away from it and not giving it our energy. We can't belabor the point more or enough than to say that what you give your attention to is what is going to expand. Because you are intellectually on the lookout for it, you will surely die. And that right there is the law and is absolutely the promise. That's just how powerful you are. And so the choice is yours in every given moment, that which you choose to pay attention to. Peace and blessings. This is Tamara of BeyondHypnosis.org. Until next time, thank you so much for listening.